Good evening. I'm Dr. Reggie Ratliff, and you are with Let's Talk Maywood. We are a podcast that discuss things that are taking place in the village of Maywood and those who are professionals or residents who have a connection, either who grew up in Maywood or are currently giving back to Maywood directly or indirectly. And we're happy that you have joined us this evening. I'm excited about our show this evening, and I will introduce him in just one moment. But my business, as I always do, talk a little bit about Ratliff Consulting Group. I am the founder and president of the Ratliff Consulting Group, where we work with nonprofit organizations as well as small businesses in either getting started, establishing themselves, or growing, getting back to the economies of scale. And that's what our program is about, talking about everything that's focused on politics, economics, economic development, religion, and things of that nature. With us this evening, we have Evan Acevedo. Evan Acevedo is the founder of Puebla Bakery in Maywood. Evan was born and raised in Chicago. He attended Chicago public schools. In high school, he started his career at Kelly, and he started off at Tilden High School, and he graduated from Kelly High School in 2006. Evan also had attended 1 year in college. He worked 2 part-time jobs at a local bakery and the other at Dominic's, which is no longer in existence. Evan will tell you a little bit more about his experience, but getting to the bottom line, there was a point in his life where he wanted to work for himself. And so that's how he started Pueblo Bakery. I'm excited about Evan being here. He's also a regular contributor in our financial literacy class, which is aired every Thursday evening at 4:30 p.m. Central Time for middle and high school students and 5:30 p.m. Central Time for college and adult scholars. And without further ado, I would like to bring on Evan Acevedo to the show. Good evening, Evan. How are you?
Hi, good evening. I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Glad to have you on the show. Terrence, my co-host, may join us a little later in this broadcast, but I'm happy that you were able to join us on tonight. There are a couple of things that I would like to get started, Evan. One is your connection to Maywood. Second, your background information that at such a young age you decided to start Pueblo Bakery, and we'll go from there. So let's just get started. Tell us about Evan Acevedo as it relates to who you are as a person and your connection with the village of Maywood.
Well, like you said, I was born and raised in the city, and I moved out here because of business. Um, at some point, obviously, I needed to move closer to business to avoid that long travel. Um, I ended up purchasing a home here in Maywood, and I lived in Maywood for about 9 or 8 years already.
Okay,
Uh, I've been in business for 13 years, and overall, I mean, the journey has been worth it.
it's good to know. Now, your dad, if I'm not mistaken, worked in bakery. Is that correct?
Yeah, my dad is he's second generation self-taught baker. So my grandparents knew how to bake as well, and that's where he picked up the trade from. And well, now I picked up the trade as well.
Picked it up and went running. That's good.
Yes. But obviously, the main goal is always to do more for yourself and your family. At least that's the way I view it.
Yes.
And I always saw my dad working for other people and other companies. And obviously, we wanted to build a legacy together. So my way of helping him and for me to receive that help from him, because we obviously use some recipes that are from my grandparents and some recipes are his, and we have a mix of like newer and older recipes now.
Nice. Nothing wrong with passing it down from generation to generation, recipes. You know, if it was good during that time, obviously it's good now that whatever recipes that that's been passed down to you being an entrepreneur. But what are some of the goods that you sell in your business?
Well, we sell traditional big Mexican goods. Our biggest one is conchas. My dad is from Puebla, which is a southern state in Mexico, and
Okay.
we specialize in breads from that area because our main clientele is from that area. Overall, we sell loaves of bread as well, like for sandwiches. Basically, any sweet bread that you could think of, we sell. And if we don't sell it, you could order it.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So you have a what is a distributor or a relationship with some uh, you know partners outside of your establishment that can make that happen.
Yeah, we do wholesale with restaurants, hotels, and grocery stores. That's more like at least I see it, and I structure my business as an advertisement tool, not necessarily a tool to make money off it at a top dollar.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, do you ship across the nation?
No, for
You,
now, no.
okay,
Unfortunately, no. The product is not designed for that yet.
yeah, understood, understood. Now, you are a small business owner, and obviously, you were impacted by the pandemic when it first hit in 2020, correct?
Yes.
So, talk about the challenges that you had as a small business owner, and how did you even make it, this far in, this pandemic? I mean, keep in mind that you are operating when there were no vaccines. Nobody even know what was going on. They talking about it was a common cold, and it's gonna miraculously go away, but it didn't. So, how did your business even make it through those times?
Well, first off, I mean, number one is safety always. We have to make sure that we were complying with local ordinances from Cook
Hmm.
County,
Hmm.
um, meaning we could only have a certain amount of people within the store at a certain length of time, cleaning and sanitizing as much as we can, display
Hmm.
cases, any surface that any customers touched. We wear face masks, gloves, and we tried as much to do social distancing within the store. We also were providing curbside pickup.
Okay.
And overall, I think it was more of a choice for us to take it a step further to limit under the number that the people like what they were asking for the limit to be inside the store. If it was for the limit of the customers at the time, we would do only two customers at a time
Okay.
inside the store.
Definitely safety first in your business, which is an honorable thing to do because you were thinking safety before profits.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's our main goal, to keep everyone safe at that time. And we even shortened our operation hours. We were operating half a day basically
Okay.
compared to the full length, 16 hours that we were open before.
Working overtime.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, are you a solo act? Do you have part time or full time staff at this time?
We have part-time staff, and we have my dad works with me as well. My father still works,
Fantastic.
but overall, it's very. Um, I don't want to say it's a solo act because it's very difficult and long hours sometimes,
Hmm.
but you definitely feel the squeeze sometimes,
Understood.
especially with this economic climate that we're in.
Yes. So, speaking of which, I want to transition for a moment to talk about the economy, not just nationally, but locally in the village of Maywood in particular. Before the pandemic, there were opportunities to start businesses, to be part of economic development. You're clearly entrenched in economic development and economic growth in Maywood. How has the current inflationary period impacted your business?
Um, I think I would take it as a time for us to assess how we operate. You assess how you want to manage the next 5 years.
Hmm.
Not necessarily because you may be losing money or be making money, but at the same time, you realize, oh, there could be a shortage of this kind of material. There could be a rise on this kind of material. So
Hmm.
you're more alert on what's going on with prices, um, demand of a certain item. And overall, I think that you're a lot of businesses realize, oh, we can't operate on credit because it's getting more expensive since the Fed is, you know,
Yes,
deciding to raise interest rates.
which they just did recently, right?
Yes.
75 basis points.
Hmm.
Yes, to try to slow down spending. So my next question, Evan, is there are some home based businesses, but yet you decide to still have a business out in the community, which is an expense. Why did you decide to maintain that atmosphere instead of shifting into a home based business where you can easily make products from home?
Hmm. Um, Overall, I think you give to the community that way, and you build a community of people that see each other probably in the store. They bump
Mhm.
into each other. It encourages that atmosphere of saying good morning. It encourages other businesses to be involved with other businesses to do business, business to business, B&B.
Right, B2B.
And like in my situation, I sell bread, yeah, but there's, grocery stores that might want to sell my stuff. So it's B2B.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that way they advertise me, and I tell my customers, hey, if you can't make it here, I sell at this location as well. It's my product. You could go buy it there. Or
Right.
you're going to go pick up a gallon of milk or some eggs or whatever the case may be.
Excellent point. So it's kind of like business to business and iron sharpens iron. You're sharpening your business craft as well as they are, and you're building that business relationship, right?
Absolutely.
How do you see what's happening in Maywood changing for the better, or stagnation taking place, or going in reverse direction? Now, this is not a political question. This is a question for you as a business owner who is very entrenched in the village of Maywood, which is a Black and brown community. So, over your 9 years as a homeowner, how have you seen the village of Maywood change?
It's been doing great. I think it has a lot of potential still. We haven't reached that full potential, not only economical wise, but also the environment. It's changing very dramatically,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for the best. It's not something negative, it's the best. We
Mm-hmm.
have so many points that help Maywood become better than it was probably 20 or 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And the houses are beautiful in Maywood as well.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of gorgeous homes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you mentioned something about brown and, black
Black and brown
communities.
community. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in my culture at least, there's a lot of multi generational homes
Mm-hmm.
where they have grandma, grandpa in the home, and then
Right.
it creates a community that's really driven towards families, which is
Mm-hmm.
really nice. It encourages people to walk outside and stuff like that.
Absolutely. That's well said. Maywood housing stock is as old as it is. It goes back to the beginning of the 20th century. But it rivaled the old Park and River Forest homes back during those times, and these are still the same homes, along with the bungalow homes that exist today, and with the new homes that they're building now, where there's empty lots and things of that nature. So I'm glad you said that as far as multi-generational families, because it brings me to my next question regarding your son, the next generation. You have your son investing, or at least becoming knowledgeable about investing, such as yourself, who started at a young age, but your son is younger than you are when you started. investing. How has that impacted your generation, your household? How has that impacted your son?
Um, I I think it hasn't impacted him yet. I think he's gonna appreciate it once he gets older. Um, I think it's it's a tool overall to know how to invest and how and when to use an investment. Instead of you just thinking of, oh, I have to go to work, I have to work. We get taught in school and from our parents, you the only way to succeed is to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not only working hard and not only saving, but it's also investing, turning that investment into a uh, vehicle that's gonna eventually generate some kind of income towards your pocket.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned something in our classes. Again, you're a regular contributor in our financial literacy class, and I pray one day that the schools will wake up and you know implement a financial literacy curriculum in their school districts. You hear me, District 89 and 209? It's time, and I know they have the NYP programs, the Middle Youth Program for middle schoolers, and the International Baccalaureate Program for high school juniors and seniors at PMSA and Proviso West to some extent. But there's that investment too that is not taught in our schools. And it's not just a D89, D209 problem. It's a national challenge. How important do you believe implementing such a curriculum beyond regular consumer education, beyond understanding credit and budgeting? I'm talking about getting down to the nitty gritty, puts, stocks, how to understand disinvestment, how to understand stock splits, and your favorite, dividends. How would that impact our communities?
That would build so much wealth amongst our communities that it would be astonishing and life changing for a lot of generations ahead of us. Overall, if they were to teach something like that in any school, it would make a big difference. And no one would really care about Social Security anymore for retirement by that time.
Yeah, yeah. Well said. I believe, and Terrence is, with us in the background, but he kind of points out that it doesn't matter your experience with investing, but you got to get started. And that's how you become knowledgeable, right? You don't have to take a 4-year track at Harvard or University of Chicago or even University of Illinois. It's just getting active and engaged in the world of investing so that you can learn how to conduct research and master it on through your research, right?
Absolutely.
So what made you start investing, Evan?
Um, well, when I started to work at Domino's when I was in high school, um, obviously I didn't know anything about investing or anything like that
Mm-hmm.
until they started to give me the option at work of getting bonuses either in a check or stock. And I heard a lot of the older guys talking about stocks. Oh, my stock went up, and I asked them, "Well, what's all of that about?" And they explained it to me in very layman's terms, obviously. And I started like to figure out why would someone do something like that? Why wouldn't they just put it in the bank, saving it?
Right.
And it started to make sense. And I have other friends that work like at Home Depot when they were in high school and stuff like that, and they would get bonuses as stocks.
Mm.
So I started to learn about that, and I started to invest myself and try to figure some things out. And obviously, along that time, I lost some money, and it
Sure.
taught me some things along the way.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I learned a lot of those guys, even though they were, just stock people that didn't know. They just fixed merchandise and worked overnight and stuff like that and pushed cards, but they had a pretty basic idea of what it was.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So, what does the future look like for Pueblo Bakery? You mentioned? Planning for the future. What does that look like for you as a business owner? 5, 10 years from now.
Well, we hope to grow more within the community. Um, obviously expand to other communities as well, and hopefully building more relationships with other businesses, building relationship with customers. Um, Overall, just trying to see what works and what doesn't.
Sure, sure. Do you plan to expand to more than one location?
Uh, in the future, possibly yes.
Okay. What is the importance of even coming on this show today? Now, we're just launching this podcast. You are our fourth guest. I appreciate, as always, business owners such as yourself or those in other fields taking time to come on the show. But for someone who is contemplating to see if it's worth their time, why is coming on a podcast such as this to talk about what you're doing as a business owner and your connection to Maywood? In your viewpoint, why is that important to do this?
I think overall to motivate others to invest in Maywood, to see the potential Maywood has. And overall, I mean, it gives me the opportunity to learn about myself as well. You never stop learning about yourself. It gives you the opportunity to understand why something's happening or why isn't something not happening.
Yes. So obviously you invested in yourself and you're winning. You have a plan that even during the rough patches such as COVID, um, what's happening in Ukraine, impacted us economically, and with us living in a recession right now, with the Federal Reserve raising interest rates on a regular basis, you have still been able to succeed, I should say, as a business owner. For aspiring business owners, as we start to um, conclude this conversation, what kind of advice could you offer those who aspire to become business owners, or even those who are business owners and perhaps are trying to hear some nuggets to stay alive?
Well, overall, I mean, if you have a dream, plan it out. If it doesn't work, fix the plan and do it again. It doesn't hurt to basically try it a few more times and until you feel like you've succeeded, then that's great. That means you succeeded and you're going to move along with what you built.
Very good advice. I wanted to just ask one last question. With in terms of your connection to Maywood, been there nearly a decade, do you foresee yourself continuing Pueblo Bakery in the village of Maywood as Maywood starts to get back on track? Do you intend on continuing to grow with the village? Because I asked this question because some people they start and they're around in the community for a certain period of time, they start growing, then they take their business elsewhere. That's kind of what happened with the village of Maywood. People, they either closed or they moved elsewhere, and it really impacted Maywood economically. And to be honest, we're still trying to recover from those periods of the 70s to the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah, I think that we are going towards that, especially like, I mean, you're mentioning times where brick and mortar businesses have suffered everywhere, I think. We're not the
Mm-hmm.
only location. And at the end of the day, I think it's about being creative, how to manage a business to flourish somewhere. Um, and at the same time, it's very you need other people from not only the community but outside the community for their support and for them to invest with a community that has a lot of potential.
Well said. Well said. Evan, I wanted to ask you one final question. What is the address of your business? I'd be remiss if I did not ask the address of your
Uh,
location.
612 612 Lake Street, Maywood, Illinois.
Okay. 612 Lake Street. So for all of you who are out there watching this podcast, check out Pueblo Bakery. He is giving back to the village of Maywood. He is in the village of Maywood, and obviously he's invested in the village of Maywood. I'd like to thank Evan again for his time on this podcast. I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff. Please hit the like button on Facebook. Subscribe to Diversity Today Media. I wish everyone have a safe and blessed evening, and we'll see you next time on Diversity Today Media. Good night.